Welcome everyone, and we're back for another session of Build with Ben. So, what's on the docket for today? Well, last session we had, at least I had so much fun working with the Chrome File System API that I thought it'd be good to actually do a part 2 because there's more to the API as far as working with local files. Like, in fact, you can work with whole directories, which for me is pretty exciting because it basically means that you don't have to just like individually manage files. And I'd love to see what that experience is like for managing an entire directory of things, especially for building apps that can support local first data ownership. So with that said, yeah, I don't think there's much more needed on that. So we'll dive right into the app and then show you how everything works so that we can get started from there. So let's switch on over to the live screen. All right. So what did we do last time? Well, we had a build with Ben workspace here. Although, you know what? I realize this is a downside of me attaching like repos specifically to the session, because it means that if I ever want to build on top of it, this does mean that we end up in a position where, well, it's going to be technically out of date because now it's technically build with Ben 2526, which is making me think I probably want to go back to maybe more named repos. That way it's just easier to build and iterate on those things and people. So anyways, I'll update the show notes for the last one and last video to ensure that everyone has the right place. But I think I'll be revamping this naming style so that we can have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to revisiting apps and enhancing them. So with that said, what exactly did we do with the last session? So let me go ahead and open this up. Let's go ahead and pop this over to 1/3. Excellent. So we're building an anime show tracker, right? So basically building a little tool for yourself to see, okay, what animes and how can I like basically track that? And more importantly, how can I own that data over time? So I want to build a UI to manage that data. Well, so we have the ability to like create a file here. So we can see here, if I create a new file called like beta, it'll go ahead and create a brand new file and move me into the app. So I can do things like, oh, well, I'm going to do like One Piece I'm currently watching. And then Naruto is something I watched before, for example. And then basically this is like it's very simple right now. The app is super simple. But the reason this is interesting though, is because if we go inside of our app and we look at our data, wait. Oh, I know what happened. It's because the data folder I saved into is different than the data folder. I forgot I deleted that data folder. So I need to find the flywheel data. All right, hang on a sec. We're gonna jump in. Boom, projects, flywheel, projects, flywheel. Where did it save to? Refresh. Create save file. Yeah, it's in data. Oh, I forgot. It's in the Dropbox. Ben codes and flywheel data. Okay, this is the wrong place for it, but it's okay. We're gonna copy this, take this beta, and we're gonna move it over into our build with Ben 25, and we'll create our folder here. Honestly, I probably should have just committed the data, but it's all good. Okay, so we'll just move this over. All right, there we go. Yes, move out of Dropbox, please. Thank you very much. Okay. So the reason this is cool is because now if we inspect our beta.json, we see that we've actually, from the UI, not only created the local data, but we've also gone ahead and now populated it, and the user is basically none the wiser. And then more importantly now that we have a new instance of our app, if we want to use that existing data, so if we go to Ben 25, data, beta, open, you can see that everything populates exactly as we expect. So that's basically where we got to in the last stream. But now I want to do something a little bit more complex, right? Because, well, actually, hold on. Before we move on to the complex part, we have one thing that we were trying to solve in the last session that I actually did manage to figure out what was going on. So I want to go ahead and explain that. So we have that on record. So what were we trying to do last time? Well, one of the things you probably might aspire to do with an app is to persist sessions or state between sessions. So specifically, you can imagine that if you've already gone ahead and the user has told you which file they want to save things at, unless they want to explicitly override it, most likely we could probably assume that they want to use the same file between sessions, right? Why make them configure that every single time, right? Every single time, come in here, use data, click, etc. So at the very end of the last session, we were looking into this idea of storing the file inside of IndexedDB. So if we go inside of the application here, and then we look at IndexedDB, you'll see that inside of our storage, we had the ability to actually store the file handle that was basically being saved. So the problem with this though was I was trying to figure out a way to make that automatically load. So in other words, the idea at the time, we can see down here, is that when the component was mounted, we would go ahead and like check if it's already, like if there's a local session already saved, and if so, automatically load it. Well, the problem with this, okay, actually, let me show you the error too, so that we're all sort of in the right context here. So I go ahead and undo this, so that's good. This is all good. And then I undo this part, save and refresh. Is it just gonna crash on me? We'll see. What else did I need to do? Choose save file, that's fine for now. Await get save file. Yep. Oh, something is terribly broken. Let's just start this over real quick. Reboot the server. And it does not like it. Okay. Fixed local. Okay, there we go. Here we go. Perfect. Okay. The error here we see is the request is not allowed by the user agent or the platform in the current context. And unfortunately, in the last stream, normally I'm good at eking it out at the last second, but this one threw me off because I wasn't sure what was going on because it seemed like a permission thing. And so we can see here in line 74 and 75 that I was trying to figure out how to like query permission, request it, and maybe do it as like part of it. But I found out what the problem really is. The problem is that basically because it's a browser, we're in the browser context, you cannot run stuff locally without basically them granting a new set of permissions. Because otherwise, if you think about it this way, we run into security issues where if the user happens to grant the application one-time use of like editing and modifying local files, this runs the risk that like later on, if they close the tab and open it back up, there's nothing stopping you from loading a new script that will go in and manipulate all the data or change things without them basically knowing. And so basically, it's basically saying that with every single new session, whether that's a refresh or opening a new tab, you have to explicitly grant permission. So in other words, we cannot, at least as far as I've seen so far, there's no way to perfectly transition so that it automatically brings us into the next one. And so what we can do on the other hand though, is let's say on mounted, we see that like, oh, there is a save file. So one, let's just log the local save file to see whether or not this thing exists. So we can see that, look, it's true. There's this file system handle for something called epsilon, which actually, by the way, doesn't exist anymore. So what we need to do actually, again, we're not gonna worry about like learning to reset or delete. Let's go ahead and just update this part, which basically says when you choose a save file, update the IndexedDB. So we can see here, once again, it says epsilon, but if I use existing data and go to beta, right, there you go, beta loads up just as we had before. Now when I refresh, you'll see beta is what's being populated inside of IndexedDB. So again, this package here called IDB keyval, love it. Like it honestly makes working with IndexedDB basically as simple as working with local storage, which is you tell it what key you want to assign it to and what value, it just works. It's great. Okay, so now that we have this, we're saving the file. This is good. It's always being updated. Now the question is how do we then say, okay, how do we use said file, right? Because we want to actually confirm that. So what I've decided, at least as far as making the prototype keep working, is rather than say use existing data as if like you have to pick one, because really if we say use existing data, right, as a template, what we're really saying here is choose an old file, an existing file. This is actually what we're saying. And what we want to be able to let the user choose or to indicate to users is that, hey, we've detected a file, is this the one you want to use? That way you don't at least have to go to the picker part, because as we saw, Chrome will change the file picker based on like other sessions. It's not something that's necessarily saved. So in that particular case, what we need then is technically a third button. And so what the third button will say is like use last session, for example. That's I think a pretty explicit way of saying it. So let me go ahead and just margin write this real quick so that it looks at least looks halfway decent. Okay, great. Oh, I see. Okay, so there is a question here from 503 So the IDB keyval, the library. So actually, let me just show it real quick. IDB keyval. And once again, let me make sure, I will make sure this is, oh, I didn't even realize this was authored by the great Jake Archibald. So all the more reason this thing, no wonder why this thing's so great. Basically, the question here is, does it turn IndexedDB into a collection-based database or like local storage? As far as I'm aware, the thing that makes IndexedDB elegant is that it takes, so basically IndexedDB as a API, honestly for me, I find rather complex. And I know that it's easier than probably other standard like database technologies that we might be running into. But again, I found that it was a lot of work for what I needed, which was basically like, hey, there's a specific key, right, inside of this particular database, which we see here. Let me expand this. They're calling it keyval because that's the default one. I imagine you can configure it. But then for each one, just set like an object key value. So in other words, if we're thinking about it from a JavaScript perspective, I really just want to be like const IndexedDB, right? Let's say IndexedDB and this, whatever. Let's just call it new IndexedDB just to show that it's like a new IndexedDB. I really want it to be as simple as like IndexedDB.add, you know, save file with the user file. And there are commands like that that are very simple, but there's this whole thing where you have to like scaffold the instance and you have to track versions, and there's like an async await thing, and there's actually quite a bit that goes on as far as wiring that up. So basically the keyval in the IDB keyval lets you basically do this, but it also does all the scaffolding for you. So in that regard, it's a serializable database. So this is the difference, right? Is that local storage, for those that don't know, which we can see here in the application tab, if you're using local storage, what it's doing is it's actually storing it's just storing strings basically. So it's really a standard object that has like project store, but then the value is always a string. Even though it might look like an array or whatever, it is a string, which is why usually when you fetch stuff out of it, at least I'm 90% sure it's always a string. Usually you need to parse the JSON and that kind of stuff when it's stored that way. There's like an additional step. But the problem is that some things are not able to be just converted to strings and then swapped over, right? Like a JSON object, sure, you can stringify that and then you can parse it when you get it back. However, with something like a file handle, this is actually something that contains like a whole bunch of functionality attached with it. And it's not merely a data object that says like, oh, here's where your file is. It like contains a slew of methods and that kind of stuff that you need to track. And it's for that reason that the IndexedDB is basically proposed as the way of storing your file handles when you're working with the Chrome API, is because it's more than just saying, like you can see here, it's more than just saying kind file and what it is. It's basically like storing all the other stuff that's inside of it without breaking any of the JavaScript aspects that, like the class bindings and all that stuff that are attached to this thing called file system file handle. So long-winded way of saying basically like the IndexedDB allows us to store more complex data types. Local storage lets us do only very primitive things. And so theoretically with IndexedDB, you could probably even store like, I don't see why you couldn't store reactive data. Like you can store a bunch of crazy things. I don't know why I use the word crazy, but anyway, you can store a bunch of things with IndexedDB. And that's why we're using it for this, so that we don't have to then like call it reinstantiate a brand new file system handle. It just works when we pull it out. Okay, so thank you so much, 503, for the question. That's great. Great question to clarify that. Okay, so at this point, what we're trying to do is we want to use the last session. So the way we can indicate this, to be honest, is let's keep it simple, actually. Let's say that if we have used last session, honestly, let's do a horizontal line right here. And oh, it did not like that. Oh, it super did not like that. IndexedDB is not, oh, it's because of my pseudocode. I broke everything. Okay, there we go. Okay, so you see here we have a little bit of a line here differentiating the fact that we can see the fact that we have it, but then more importantly, I actually want to show that we actually have the file. So if that's the case, then we're printing out local save file, so get save file. Oh, actually, it's a local one. I don't even need to do local save file. We can just update the no, I don't want to do that just yet. User file is this. Has save file new show. Okay, so this means that on mounted, we get this, and then, oh, we can click on it, but then we want to be able to show it, right? So, okay, let me just, hold on. Existing file basically will mostly be undefined. It's a ref of undefined. But if we actually manage to get if local save file, then this is where we're going to say existing file.value is going to be equal to the local save file. And then by by doing it this way, we can now print it out down here. So it'd be like existing file, like that. So if we refresh, we can see that we have something. And then this is interesting though. How do I get the name? Let's just log it real quick. Log existing file, save. Okay, so it's a ref implementation where the value is this. Okay, dot name. There we go. So hopefully this should work if I do existing file dot name. Excellent. Okay, so this shows us, hey, all right, we have a session that exists from before. And more importantly, just to make this a little bit cleaner, we can just wrap this in a div that basically says that vif existing file.name, just like that. And so the reason this is nice now is that as far as like just like a UI enhancement is that if we're looking at the application here, and then let me go ahead and move this over and let's go ahead and delete these items from the database so that we have it. When we refresh, we should see dot name. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. So now basically we don't have that UI, but then once we select it, we go into beta. This is great, we selected it. Now when we refresh, we can see it. Now, this is where we need to do the final piece, where if we actually have this, this is where we're gonna basically set it. So what we're gonna do here is let's go ahead and we're gonna define a function to basically acknowledge the fact that we want to use the last session. So const use last session is going to be an async function because we're gonna be loading something. And so this is where we're going to say user file.value is equal to existing file.value. So we're basically going to swap it over, pop it in. And then once we've popped it in, let's see, then we can, this is where we're going to try to do the query permissions. Let's see. Query permissions, undo this. I can't type. User file.value query permission. Oh, yes. Okay, I really remember this now. Okay, so now we can check to see what the permissions are on this. So this is where I think we can see some stuff. So here we have this here. If we click on this to use last sessions, let's go ahead and wire that up with the button. So we have click use last session, and then delete that quote, save. Now when we click, there we go, we have a promise. That's awesome, but then we actually want to log out what the promise is. So we can basically say const permission equals await user file that get permission, right? And now we'll log permission and save that. So there we go. So now when we click, you can see there's a, oh, it's interesting. It's called prompt. And then the other one is called request permission. Huh. I could have sworn it was supposed to return like some sort of true false value. Okay. Well, if user file that this async await has save file true. I don't think I can do this stuff. Because if we try to just directly grab everything and update things, I'm pretty sure this is going to break. Yeah, I haven't been given permission. Okay, this is right. So this is almost ready, but I need to get the permission. I thought user file.value.query permission. This should be it. All right, let's go. Chrome file API. Let's go. Okay, so in the IndexedDB, storing permission. Okay, this is where they're doing the verify permission. Okay, so query permission options equals granted. Okay. Okay, so what they're doing here, oh, where's the query permission? Is that they're doing the file handle query permissions and then whether or not to check it's granted or not. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so permission here, whether it's that, and then more importantly, we want to actually make sure it's read write. All right, so basically what we're saying is we're gonna check whether or not we've gotten read write permissions from it. And then if it's false, yep, okay, great. Otherwise, it's either going to be granted. If permission was already granted, return true. Request permissions. Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Okay. So, and then we can say if permission is equal to granted, this is where we can copy all this. Oh, it looks like it actually knew what I wanted to do, but let me just verify real quick. All right, if it's granted, great. Otherwise, await request permission, I think is what we're gonna do. Const new permission equals await request permission. There we go. Okay, let's save that. Let's see if this does anything. Okay, so then if I refresh, use last session, edit file, great. Okay, so what that does is that's saying it'll check that, and then if it does, then do this. And then otherwise, okay, I see what they're doing. They're just saying return true. So they're just running through each one. So they're saying await this, await this. Okay, I think I got it. So let's see, cons. Well, permission will never be granted at this point. Anyways, so if it's granted, do this, but otherwise request it. But honestly, we know that it's a new session every time when you said use existing one. So I'm gonna just circumvent this a little bit, and we're not even gonna query the permission. We're just gonna request it, because at least as far as I understand it at this point, we're not even gonna bother with it. And then if permission is granted, then we can parse everything. That's what we're gonna do. So refresh, use last session, edit file, bam, everything works. So again, is it an ideal situation? It's not, but we have to remember, because we are working directly in the browser, this is something that at least if someone finds out, let me know. But otherwise, we cannot persist permission state between the sessions of the browser. Now, granted, the things we're learning here are interesting, because whenever we do decide to like move our app into like maybe Electron or some other app, we can then, that's the kind of thing where when we can persist, then we can make that experience a little bit more seamless. But the bare minimum now, we got the ability to say use last session. Yep, okay, use that one, done. Don't even need to pick a file. I think that's great. That's actually a great iteration. So let's do that. Take status, if I can type. And then we did it. We did it. Oh, though, actually, wait, let me remove some console logs. Boom. Oh, excellent. This is great. Oh, wait, hold up. I still have this change that I made. There you go. Git commit feature, add ability to use last session from IndexedDB. That now works. Excellent. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the next part, which I want to do, which is let's make the app more interesting, which is what exactly? Well, we have all this stuff, right, that we're watching. I'd like to make this a little bit prettier. More importantly, what if I wanted to actually then put cover art inside of these specific objects? And this is going to be a little bit tricky, because what we're going to want to do, if we don't want to just point to a URL, right, that would be an easy enough fix, which is we host the image somewhere, and then we just add an attribute to the show we're watching, and then that's what we're going to pull. But again, we're talking about local first storage, right? So ideally what I'd like is, what if we could read a directory and then fetch the images from the directory? That's what I'd like to do. So let's go ahead and see how we could possibly do that. So first thing first, just for the sake of making sure we have our data, let's go ahead and grab an image of one piece. And again, this is like, for local storage. So you know what? This image is pretty good. I think this is a nice horizontal. So let me just save that real quick. So I'll do one piece. I'll put wiki here so that in the future, if I'm ever trying to figure out actually, you know what? I will do the source. I'm not even going to think about it. Let me see. Hold on. Let me go in. What am I doing? Build with Ben 25. We're going to go into the data. One piece cover. We'll call it like that. And then just to make sure we do source, though, where this is coming from, I'm just going to make sure that this is just the source. So one of the things we're going to do real quick inside of beta JSON, hopefully we'll just say image source. I can't type. Image source is going to be this thing. This is where it's coming from. That way we can do at least a little bit of attribution. So granted, it's not in the UI yet, but again, we'll worry about that in due time. So then the next one we're gonna do, you might as well, let's just keep it simple. Hopefully there's a Naruto here, perfect. So we'll save this image as well. And this will be a Naruto cover. This will be put in data, and hopefully this is also a JPEG. Perfect. Okay, let's keep it simple so far. So now we have this, and we can say image source is this. Okay, so we're giving credit to where we found it. This is good. Now that we have these two things, what we're gonna wanna do is the app needs to do a bit more. And so what we're gonna do now, let's go ahead and refresh back to the thing. And what we wanna do then is let's add a new section that's calling to use a directory, right? So what I'm gonna do here is inside of this article, we can configure save file, but then I'm gonna add a new one, a whole new heading. And this heading is gonna be configure directory. And then we'll use similar UI here as far as these two bits. So you can create a directory, or we can choose an existing directory. That should be easy enough. And then actually this is where I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this part in a section. And again, just for quick styling, we're just gonna give it a border bottom 1px solid 222, and then margin bottom, let's say 30 pixels. Whoops, I messed that up. There we go. That's a little funny. Oh, I guess I need a padding. Padding bottom 30 pixels. All right, good enough. In fact, I don't actually think I even need the margin at this. Nope, I need the margin. No, wait. There we go. Padding, padding, padding. Great. Okay. So now that we have this, now let's take a look. Actually, let's just commit this real quick. Let's commit this to say feature scaffold directory UI, selection UI, and then let's go ahead and then just commit this data, add data for anime show tracking. Okay. Now, first thing we're gonna want to do then is inside of here, let's see what they have. Well, we can read files, we know how to write files, but we want to pick a directory. Okay, here we go. Opening a directory and enumerating its content. This is, I think, a good place to start. So we can see here that there's this window that shows directory picker. That's easy enough. And then after that, we get the directory handle. But then what they're going to want to do is be able to get each file. And so there's a promise where we await each one to get each one of its values, and we push it into something. And then we await promises, all the promises. Okay. Creating accessing files in a folder. Oh boy. Okay, let's not get overwhelmed. One thing at a time. We're not even going to create a directory, actually. We're just going to start by we're going to follow this. Let's open a directory and learn to enumerate its content. That, I think, is a good place to start. So first thing we're going to do is I'm actually going to wipe out create a directory, because we're not even going to have the functionality for that at this point. Okay, so we need to have a function that will, so okay, this is where we'll use file system. We have the ability to write the file. We have the ability to get new file handle, set up a new file, choose file. So now we have one that we're basically going to call choose directory. So choose directory is going to be our function, and it's going to be async, because that's what looks like all of the stuff with the Chrome File API is. And so now that we have it, let's try and see what's going on. So directory handle is going to be await window that show directory picker. All right, I'm good. Ooh, picker, I'm good with that. And then for await entry, then we can enumerate over every single one. Okay, let's just actually, I'm not even going to type this one. Let's just copy this over and see if this even works. So we'll have this, and we'll enumerate everything. So again, I am a huge believer when you're working with things and trying things out to just make something show up on the screen. I think having a lot of feedback repeatedly in small chunks helps to ensure that you're doing the right thing, rather than, can you imagine we just like try to write everything at once and wire it all up, then you have like no idea where anything's coming from. So the smallest value of like, and so this, if you're writing tutorials, that kind of stuff, that's my big thing. Like, get something to show up as quickly as possible, and then figure out the shortest path to get the next thing to show up. The more you can do that, I think the easier it is for people to follow along, and more importantly, it makes it a lot stickier, because they actually their brain starts to piece together how things are linked. Okay, so we have this choose file get set up. Now we should have a choose directory autocomplete for us. It does. That means that we exported it correctly. Now that we have choose directory, now we can then say add save file, add show, choose save file, okay. Cons choose save, I'd be more explicit on this one, save directory, async, and then we can then call directory, oh wait, const directory equals await choose directory. I think that's it. And in fact, I don't even need to declare a constant because I think we can just await and it'll run everything correctly. So choose save directory is there. Then for our button, choose save directory all the way down here. Choose save directory. Excellent. All right, let's try it out. So I'm just gonna refresh real quick and then we're gonna choose the directory. Okay, this is good. So we have the existing directory. We're in our data directory. So if we select it, we should see, okay, so there's another permission things. Localhost 3000 will be able to view files in data until you close all tabs for the site. Great. Click view files. And, hey, okay. We see everything. This is good. We see the cover, we see beta. This is good. So the next step of this, now that we can actually fetch the data, is now we want to actually get access to each files, right? Whether they're the sizes, do not use await. Okay, but then, how do we do this? So we want to be able to access each one. The promises are there, console log await all promises, creating our accesses files in the directory. Get file handle or get directory handle. So in other words, new directory handle get file handle that create true. Yeah, but how do you access it? Oh, wait. Oh, okay. So hang on, if we're thinking about this another way, when we're going in and we're saying choose directory, we actually need to basically have a reactive reference of what all the stuff is. So in other words, when you await all of these different values, no, but we want the paths though. We don't just want the values because we need to actually be able to fetch it, right? So get file, okay, so for await entry in values, okay. Let's see, if, all right, let's try this out. If entry.kind does not equal file, which I'm good with, break. Makes sense because you have some like flawed thing, it catches that. But then the thing here is that it will push the get file. So again, let's see, const file promises is an array. And then inside of here, what we're saying is promise file promises array dot push. We get the file and then, no, actually, okay, fine. Then we can like return this, get file, then return this, and then we push the promises. No, I just want you to get the file. That's actually all I want you to get. I wonder if this is gonna work. Okay, worst case scenario, it breaks. And then once it loops through and does everything, then we can log the await all of those promises together and see what we get. Okay, fingers crossed. Hold on to your butts. We go ahead, click choose existing directory, click save. I don't think that's right. Because the get file should be a file system handle. This is just like the type it is and then the title. So that's not totally right. Oh, new directory handle. Hold on, get file handle, maybe. Maybe this will do. All right, fingers crossed. Here we go. Reset, get, select. Skeptical. Super skeptical. Oh, wait. File promises. That's what I want. Oh gosh, I think I was doing the wrong thing the whole time. Let me just go back, get file, choose existing directory, select. Okay, that did what I thought it was going to do. Let me just make sure this log is not something else that's happening. Okay, great. Now we can do get file handle. And then I can go ahead and do this. Select, view, nada. Nothing. Why isn't this working? Okay, get file. Okay, get file handle is not. Okay, that's fine. I had a feeling. So the entry, can I get it? New directory handle, get file. Oh. What if? Okay, hang on. What if we're saying const file handle is equal to directory handle dot get file handle, and this is where you put the entry dot name. Okay, and then we actually, you know what? I'm gonna follow my what I said. I'm gonna see if this works. This is the lowest. This is the shortest distance between something working or not. So refresh, choose existing handle, select, give permission. Hey, okay, it's a promise. Oh, I forgot to await it. Await, try again. Select existing handle, select. Oh, promise result. Oh, okay. I think I'm on the right track. File promises. We'll get the file handle. Then we can promise that all file promises. Yes. Refresh. This. Yes. Okay. We have an array of 3 file handles. This is great. Now, the next thing we need to do is to then say, okay, we have this. Now we need to store it because we need to read it. Because like, it's one thing to get the file, right? And then we can see, like, we could check whether or not there's a JSON file in here. Okay. Here's what we're gonna do. One step at a time. Okay, the first thing we're gonna do is once we've chosen the directory, so this is actually all we're doing. Choosing the directory will return a bunch of files that are inside the directory, which is great. And we're just focusing on flat structure right now. We're not worried about recursively picking things up. So, right, so we're gonna get const directory files is await this. So to prove that this works, we'll log out directory files and save this. So if this works the way I think it will, we should get the same exact result, basically being outputted to the log. So if I select this, did not work. Let's refresh this real quick. Choose directory, select. Oh, I know why. Silly me. I'm not returning anything. So we've gotten that, then we return file promises. I think we can do it like this. This should work. Select. Yep. There we go. Okay, everything's good. Wonderful. Okay, now that we have directory files, we can then say if directory files dot, let's see, includes an item where item dot name dot index of dot JSON is greater than -1. I don't know if I did the logic too complicated in this one though. Log item. Okay, fingers crossed that I did that right. Refresh, choose, say, select, view. Nothing happened. I thought the includes works, right? Choose any, right? Determine whether the item contains a specific element. The element is the item dot name. Okay, let's see. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Do const save file in here is going to be interesting. This is oh I did include. I should do find and then find it like this, then like that, then save and refresh. Then we go ahead and go in here, view. Item is not defined. Oh dear. Find item. Okay, we're gonna keep at this because I'm missing something clearly. Save file, find a file where file.name. Okay, I'm not gonna worry about this. I'm just going to return file.name is greater than 0. File.name.length is greater than 0. So this should return 3 things, or this should just return a single file because it'll return the first thing that matches this. There we go. So it does do that. So return file.name index of .json is greater than -1. So this should basically return us our beta file. It does. Great. Okay. I guess I wrote the if condition kind of funny, which is fine. This is why sometimes breaking things up is easier to understand. If the save file exists, then we can do it to true. Then we can basically point everything to it. So I can choose a directory now, save it, boom, everything moved. But clearly, oh, I've really got to abstract this. But again, once again, we are just going to focus one thing at a time. And then there we go, choose directory, select it. There you go, everything's loading. Wonderful. Okay. So let's just add this as a feature. User can configure local directory for saving data. Okay, this is cool. But then the next question is, how do we fetch the image locally? That's what I'm actually kind of curious of, is that now that we have access to this, theoretically, we should be able to then pull the image from local and then render it onto the browser. So now that we have the file, I guess some of our, so there's file.txt, let's see, Chrome file render image maybe, Chrome file API, file system to URLs. This is kind of old. Not gonna go with this. Actually, let's just see if there's images inside of these docs, shall we? Let's see. You can start somewhere. Different pickers. Okay, so resolving path, deleting path, renaming, moving. Okay, you can move stuff. That's cool. Drag and drop. Chrome file API. Read image. Can file handles be converted to a blob or something else? That's a great question from file 3. That's what I'm trying to think, is that if, let's see, file, Chrome file handle to image, web apps and internet your file system now. Okay, let's check it out. Does this blog post say anything? Show opened image, get file. Oh, it just says get file, but then get file, file, get file. Okay, actually, hang on a sec. What if when we selected, we did a get file on the images? No? Because right now at this point, oh, actually, we have a couple of problems. Directory files should not be saved just to this function. This is something that should exist. So I'm going to make directory files a reactive reference so that we can reference it other places in the app, because that's basically what I'm pretty sure we're going to need. Const directory files equals ref of an empty array. I think that'll do. I think I misspelled something. Files with an S. Off by one error yet again. Okay, select. Good. Oh, did not like that. Directory file. Oh, yeah. Dot value, save, refresh. View, great. So now if we check the view dev tools, we should see here, directory files has 3 system handles. Okay, this is good. Why? Because we're now working with data now, right? So one thing at a time. So the first thing is the computed property. So we could say animate images, for example. So all we have to do, I think, again, I'm guessing here, const animate images, or let's say animate covers, that's what they are. And it'll be a computed property where we return the directory files dot value, and then we filter out the file. Oh, is there a file dot type? If it is, that'll be awesome. Let's find out. So if this works the way I think, or I hope it will, there we go. Now when we go to the view dev tools to see what exactly, let's see, it's not finding set components, refreshing, again, there we go. Now it shows it. Now we do that. There we go. Now it shows up. So animate covers here. Oh, okay. That's totally fine. Okay, so at the bare minimum, we could say file.name.indexof.jpg. Again, let's be very specific. Is greater than -1. So basically, if it exists, this should work. So refresh. There we go. We got the app. Let's go in here. Let's select the directory. We should have 2 files if this works. Yes, it worked. Okay. So this is great. We have our file system handles now that are all the images. This is awesome. The question is now, how do we read said file? So if okay, we're just gonna go with it at this point. I'm gonna do this. We're just gonna, again, we're not gonna think too much about this. Inside of the anime show tracker, we're just gonna put an H2 here just to show that there's an image. And then we're gonna take anime covers, take the first value and run get file on this. Oh, I think this is gonna super break. Oh, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. Wait. Oh, yeah. Okay, I didn't think so. Okay. That's fine. Okay, so I'm just gonna we'll call it first cover, first anime cover, and then this will be a computer property. We'll just do this real quick. The const first anime cover, which is a computer property that takes the first value of the anime covers, but this is where we're gonna run the get file function, which we saw, and the only reason we know this, oh, I don't know if this is gonna work. Oh, I'm a little nervous about this. Okay. I don't know if that did it. I don't think that did it. Log cover. It doesn't like it. Okay. Anime covers value, it did not like this. Okay, that's fine. Let's just do that. Refresh. Did not like it very much. Yep. Okay. It did get it. It did get the file system handle Naruto cover. How do I read this thing? Okay, I think we're really close. So there was like a get file. Okay, when we're reading files, right? A read file from a system. You can choose it. Here we go. Slice stream text array buffer. So we open the file, a file.text. I don't want text. Okay. Is there a, okay, use blobs. So it's already a blob. So that answers 503's question. It is already a blob. So the question is, how do we get it to be an image? And this is where my knowledge is a little bit rusty. Array buffer that contains as binary data. Okay. Blob to image. Use JavaScript to display a blob. Response type blob. Yeah, that's not what I want. URL creator, create object URL this dot response. Query selector that. Yeah, but I have the blob. How do I make the image? Oh, image URL. Okay. Oh, okay. So wait. URL creator. Where does that come from? Does something just exist in the window? URL. Nope. Window.url creator. Nope. That's not a thing. Oh, wait. Window URL. Create object URL. This dot response. No, that didn't make that much sense to me. Fetch, get the blob. URL dot create object. That's not what I want either. We are gonna figure this out. We need to get, okay, again, so to reiterate, the problem is partially rubber ducking here. Once we get the file, because we have the file object, it contains a blob. So we can either slice stream, text, or array buffer it. Most of the reason you want it with stream, getting random access to file content, you slice. The file object is only readable as long as it hasn't changed. Yeah, I'm not worried about that. So, okay, Chrome File System Access API. Please, someone has done something with images before. It's got to be. I just want a demo of something. Writing to a file. We got that. Yep. I want something more than a text file. So these are directories, permissions. Yeah, this is like the bare minimum. This is part of the reason we have the part 2 is because when we're doing something more complex, and I say complex, but like an image is a very common image that people might want to save locally. So how do we parse said thing? Read the contents of the blob. So you could stream it. And once you stream it, you can call get reader to pipe to. See, this is the other stuff, like the node stuff that I was talking about in the first session regarding like how you understand how to render like an image. New image. Okay. Blob URLs are streamed to match blob objects. And can persist as long as So here's an image. Okay, where is it? Is URL just a thing that exists that I just URL? Okay, it does. So this is a global thing that exists. Create object URL from blob. Okay. And then we can update the URL. So, okay, I'm kind of skeptical, but let's just keep at this. So we have this, we could say URL that create object URL with, I don't think this is gonna work, but const cover URL. Then we can log cover URL like this. All right, what's the worst that'll happen? I think it'll overload, that's fine. Okay, did not like the overload resolution. So cover, that makes sense, right? Because, I mean, I think because we need to actually do like a specific thing. So rather than just getting the value, we need to actually get data from the blob. And I'm gonna say this is dot stream rather than array buffer. Then we can then grab that like this. This should access everything. Yeah, that makes sense. It hasn't been existed yet. Oh, okay. Stream is not a function. What? It says that it's a thing. All right, hold on. Comment. Hit this. Refresh. Get it in there. View files. View system. There's a prototype here. Get file. Oh, do I need to do get file? And then once I get file, then I can. Oh, okay. Get file like this. And okay, again, I think this. So again, let's clear that. Refresh. Yeah, I know. Then we can save that. Ooh. Wait. Okay, this is kind of interesting. We have a file now. We have a blob. I think we have a blob. Oh, I wonder. Okay. Cover URL. First anime cover. That's fine. That's not going to work. Don't like that. Something's funky. First anime cover is the image. It still says it's a promise, but I thought it's already been awaited. So that's not it. Let me just look real quick. That's not it. URL that create object my blob. Then the source is going to be that. But then I can't even see covered image URL. So I have a hard time believing that like this thing. Again, I'm just actually going to try stream like this. See if that works better. That did not work better. That got worse. Got way worse. It's like stuck. It's kind of interesting. Cover URL. Okay, cannot read files of properties get defined. Oh, wait, I had that originally. So actually, you know what I'm going to do real quick so that we stop running into. We're just going to just wrap this if anime covers dot value dot length is greater than 0. Run this, otherwise ignore. That way we keep not getting that stupid error. Else turn false. So if this works, actually, yeah. Why is first anime cover still showing a promise? it should, let me just make sure this is working correctly. Save, undo. Yeah, why is it saying is it because it's an async function? And then it's just like refusing to resolve? Something is funny. Const await get file. Yup. Okay, if we get that, then we should log the cover URL. I can't type. Cover URL. Save. Choose existing directory. Save. View files. Okay, so there is a blob here. You know what? Again, I'm gonna wonder maybe it's not reacting. I have a hard time believing this is gonna suddenly work, but okay, let's just try it. Image, bind the source of that to first animate cover. I don't think this is gonna work. Okay, save. Nope, that's not it. Maybe because the blob, like, all right, actually, I'm just gonna do this. Copy link address, go into element, let's manually, let's just make sure this isn't like a view thing. We have the app. Below here should be an image. Oh, it's a oh. Okay, well, unfortunately that did not change anything either. Because that did not change anything either. Yeah, broken image. So that didn't quite work. Even if I could fix the fact that this was not the whole like promise thing, because the blob is not accurate. Yeah, 503. I thought creating. Yeah, I think we're on the right track. I just think to get data from the blob, I think this is what I'm messing up. Is that I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty darn sure about this. Once we get the file, right, we should be able to go like blob is, let's see, await cover dot. Again, I'm gonna stream the blob, and then the blob should go here, and then this should work. But the problem is, if I'm not mistaken, is it's gonna yell at me because it's gonna claim that it doesn't have that file exists. So uncaught, overflowed resolution, the user aborted the request. Again, okay, maybe it's just like the computer is getting overloaded with the async. Maybe I'm just like completely breaking things. I'm just gonna not even make it a computer property. We're just going to run the function and then have it return directly to the template. We're just not gonna worry about caching and all that stuff. Yeah, once again, it's still doing the local host async get. Oh, of course, the image is not working. That makes sense. Okay, this is fine. The only problem is though, now that we have this first animate cover async, if it's this, otherwise await. Otherwise, wait. Async function. I thought that was the whole point of async await, is that it doesn't have to. Why is it being returned as a promise? Oh, is it because cover URL? Hold up. Test. Refresh. Configure identity. Save. View files. Yeah, interesting. Look, it always returns a promise. Oh, wait. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense because. Okay, hold up. We're gonna figure this out. Animate cover equals ref. I don't know what it is, so we're just gonna call it undefined. I think I know why. Animate cover dot value is equal to no image found, and then here we'll say animate cover dot value equals cover URL. Now, if we do this correctly, we should be able to then say animate cover, no image found. That's correct. Save, select, to do. So animate cover is there. Then we can run a button that says do first and okay. I'm gonna give it a verb. Get first animate cover. This should be something that's run on click, get cover, save, no image found, great, choose existing directory, grabbed it, get cover, nothing. Okay, this is fine. We're getting closer in the sense that like we've broken it down to it's a smaller piece. So we've gotten that. Failed to create object on URL. Once again, I think it doesn't like the blob. Because again, if we, let's just even stop this. What if we logged blob? I mean, is that even gonna, what is that? I think this is gonna not be pretty, but okay. Come in, we select this. Okay, it's a readable stream. Okay, great. But how do we get the blob? Array buffer. Most of the time you want to stream text or array buffer. I mean, which one do I want? Text area dot value equals contents. Contents is await this. Okay. Write the file to the local system. Nope, I know that. Is it array buffer that I'm looking for? As binary data. Array buffer then. Or you can do blob dot array buffer. I mean, okay. Array buffer, await that. That's your blob. Call it buffer. And then I can do the buffer here. Cover URL there. Refresh the page. Choose directory. Get the image. Didn't like it. Let's just look it up. Type error. Failed to create as an URL. This is the code for my image. New image source. Pass the raw data, but it has to be a blob file or media source and not the data itself. Oh. Okay. I thought we tried that, but that's fine. Save, refresh, get the thing, get the cover. I mean, technically that is it. This is kind of what we saw earlier. So what if I like cover URL that split blob and then take the second value? So then if I did this, grab that, that's the URL. Okay. So like that. So we broke it down again. It got something, it rendered a blob, but then this is the only problem is animeCover.value is going to be the source. I think we did this earlier and it didn't work. Anime source, animeCover.value, but only if anime cover is in existence. Okay. Refresh. Choose directory. Got everything. No images found. Wait, why is it saying no image found? That's not right. Because, yep, why is it saying no image found? That is weird. Console.log. Yep. When console.log is updated, it should then... Oh, silly me. Yeah. Okay, let's try again. I did not put in an else statement, so it was always ending up there. Okay, that's great. There's my blob. That's that. But once again, I don't think we're seeing anything because the source is not... Well, it's not showing up. Why is it not showing up? Image... vif anime cover. Oh, that value. I'm silly. That was it. Oh my gosh, I think it just overcomplicated it way too much. Okay, so it is supposed to be prefixed with blob. Yes! That's good. All right. Whew. All right, so we're not done yet. Luckily, we figured it out now because now we can actually make this useful. Because again, this is a terrible way to get this. What we want to do is get cards, and then each card can have its corresponding image automatically. So, what did we learn from this? We learned how to basically get image. Is really all we did. So now this is where we refactor this. It's an async method, right? And not only async method, we should probably just pass the file handle inside of here. So then the cover can be await file handle dot get file. And now that we get the file handle, then we can grab the cover URL from this. Then when I say cover URL, actually I just say blob URL. I'm just gonna say it like that. And then we can return the blob URL. I guess actually we'll just be a little bit better if blob URL exists. Return blob URL. Will be even more concise. I usually don't like ternary statements, but this one is simple enough. Otherwise, no image found. Just like that. So this is our method, getImage. And then now, theoretically, okay, let me put this in the methods for direct methods. Choose, here we go. Okay, now we have the ability to get the image. And so since we're looping through all of this, we're not looping through by, it's fine. Okay, nope, I lost it. Close, I'm close. We're looping through the elements, right? So choose existing directory, it's being read and it's being gone through. So the question here is, okay, so, oh, this is gonna be so convoluted. We know, actually we're not gonna get the file handle, or can we? We can get the file handle. This is one level abstraction to, okay, I abstracted it too much because we haven't even actually figured out those pieces yet. So we'll call it the anime show. The name basically is what's going to be passed in. So we're going to do this. Const image name is going to be, so the anime show is going to be 2 lowercase. Then we're going to replace all the spaces with dashes. So to make sure this works, let's just comment this out first. Log image name. Okay, and then this way, when we're looping through everything, right, we have a show, every single show, we can then say the get anime image show.name. If this works the way I think it will, we get a promise. Oh, of course, because it's like that for now. Oh, did not like that. Why did it not like that? Console. Cannot read proxy of get to lowercase. Get anime image. Currently watching shows. That should work. Show. Get image. Comment log anime show. What am I being passed in? Fresh. Save. There you go, much happier. Then that's good. So why isn't this okay? Because the anime show, oh, it's called .show. I'm so silly. Okay, yep, anime show, pass that in. Okay, image name, and it's not called show. Gosh, what a terrible naming schema. All right, we'll fix that at some point. So here we save it, select. Okay, good. One piece shows up. And then we got that. Now we just need to add the dash cover. So the image name is that plus dash cover dot JPEG. So if things work as expected, we should see now that we get all of our images, one piece cover. So again, this is assuming a very fixed naming schema, which is, it's fine because we're just gonna run with it. So this is the show. Then we can go ahead and actually make sure we get the file. So we can do file is equal to directory files.value find file.name equal to this. If this works as anticipated, which I think it should, we should actually see the file system handle here, which is perfect. Then we can now grab all this to get the cover where we get the file. Actually, I'm going to call this file handle to be more specific. And then await file handle. This is great. Then the cover here is gotten here. Then, okay. So if this works, oh dear, something super broke. Refresh. No, it doesn't like it. Const file handle reserved a word await. Oh, yes. I need to make this async. Now we're good. Now we can open this up. Yep. Okay, there's an object promise. That's do const await. Please tell me this is gonna work. We got this. Await. No. This already exists. Then we await this. Then we this. Promise.resolve maybe? Alright, anyways. This should work. Alright, image source is going to be get animate image show.show. And then we can just say bind this to show.show cover image. That should do the trick. Save. Okay, great. That's fine, because that means it's still getting a promise. I am not understanding something. It's fine. Once we fix this, which we still have a little bit of time to do, get animate image is an async function, right? The async function takes in an argument. It grabs all the things. Once it awaits the cover, do I have to await? No, this doesn't make sense. Once you've gotten it, this is it. So why is blob URL giving us this much problem? Is it like the way I wrote the file? Oof. Cannot return the thing get file. I mean, that's fine, but that shouldn't stop the other stuff. Get animate image. Why is it returning object promise? We had this working earlier, right? If it's this is a file handle, get file, get cover. There should be a blob URL, but for whatever reason, it's not liking the get cover. All right. Oh, please tell me it wasn't that. All right, image vif anime cover doesn't exist anymore. Cover is there. Anime cover ignore. Anime cover ignore. Am I using anime cover anywhere else? No. Save. Okay, blob. I see the blob. That is good. But even though I see the blob is being returned as a promise. Okay. So can I do promise.resolve? Oh, wait. If promise.resolve. This. Can I do this? Do. Select. No, doesn't like it. Do. Object promise. How do you resolve the... Why is it doing this? All right, let's try this. View 3 object promise. Here we go. Someone else ran into this too. Don't call async method within the view. When you mark a method as async return a promise, point to return a promise and mark it as async at a time. You should await the async method or promise from the created and lifecycle hook. Oh, okay. That kind of makes sense. What that means to me then is we need to actually augment the object file. So, okay. So I actually did this right. This is not the problem. The problem is when we're going through and actually updating the anime shows. So this is where, like we were saying, when we're going in and we load the file for the first time, right? And we choose the directory. So let's just look at that. Choose save directory. We're saying that we've gone ahead and updated that. We parsed it. But then what we actually also need to do then is also push the blob URL to the file contents. is what I'm hearing. Animate the file contents. Great. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, oh man, am I using this anywhere? I am using this. Currently watching shows. Okay. Const animate shows with image. Oh, this is getting messy. This is getting so messy. It's fine. We're just making things work. Animate shows with image is a computed property, right? Oh, no, you can't do that. It's still that same problem where you're running an async method in... It's like when it's mounted, that's when you want to push everything. So, okay, let's try that. So we're going to have inside of our lifecycle hook, we're basically going to say oh, trying to think. We're going to loop through all the anime values basically. So, okay, first of all, to show that this works, no, this doesn't make sense because you're not going to load it till later. So this is why it needs to be a trigger. Promise data binding to view. Some of this is very old. Is it because there's no async on this? We've got the blob to work, but the problem is we're having trouble looping it through. Yep, that's fine. View 3 object promise. Object promise return instead of value. View 3. Stuck. I mean, so the thing is that we can actually get everything. That's actually not the problem. So whenever you're debugging things, I always have to remind ourselves, rewind ourselves to the simplest point. And the simplest point is really actually when we're inside of the choose directory, to be honest. So when we're inside the choose directory here, we basically get access to things, right? So we can see here, choose directory, if save file exists, then the contents. So there's actually nothing stopping us from saying file contents. Okay, so await file contents dot map, and this will be an async for every show, anime show, so return an object where we spread out show, but then we have the image, which is going to be await get image show.show. Oh man, I don't know if this is even gonna work. Async await. This feels like it's gonna super break. So get image is not defined. Oh wait, no, because I call it get something else. Get anime image. Okay, refresh, choose directory, submit, view files. Okay, let's see how badly it went up. Anime shows value, image show. There is no image in here because you don't have file contents. What if I went this far? I just gave it like this. Then anime shows is empty. Come through. View files. Yep, just returns a promise. So what if I do promise.all, wrap all of that inside of this like that, then select it, view it. Oh, it doesn't like it. All right. Prompt. Tricky. Okay. So clearly we've gone through and been working on trying to figure out how to get things to actually show up. So I wonder if honestly we had a working prototype at one point. So I'm gonna rewind this back to when we had an actual H2 so that we can actually show how this worked. I think that will be the best usage of this point. Const animate covers. Yep. Yep. Configure directory. Select. Get cover. Anime shows. Dot value dot filter. You're currently watching shows. That's fine. Anime. So mistakes were made. Should have committed that code that we had where we had to get image. All right, get image. Hold up. I think I actually didn't go back far enough. I think that's why. Get image async file handle. Okay, if blob URL. Okay, yep. Oh wait, here we go. Anime cover dot value. Okay, blob URL. Blob URL like this. Then else. Nope. And then choose file. This that get cover. Yeah. Keep reversing. What's that done? First anime cover. Great. H2 anime cover. Get that. There we go. Now we have that blob. Now we need to make sure we have the image to show said thing. And then we almost have it. Image here, image alt, image source, anime cover. Yeah. Get image. Get first anime cover. Split. Get first anime cover. Yes, so why isn't this appearing? Show, get. And then for whatever reason, the image is still stuck here. I am going to wrap this up. I'm gonna do, oh, I keep forgetting. No dot value. Done. Okay, we did it. We got a prototype up. Feature a prototype of getting from file API. The last piece, clearly, this is great. All right. Woo! Okay, well, it has been quite a journey. So as we can see in this session, what we've done is we've gone through, looked through the directory, figure out how to list things, and this has been great. We were able to see all the files. Clearly what we ran into an issue was towards the end was the ability to actually just render all of them as images into it, because basically what we wanted to do was we have our list of shows. As long as we match the name to the files, we should be able to render it. And so in our end prototype, we actually get to see, at least we got to the point where we converted the file stuff to a blob, and then the blob was able to render to the page. Now, I think the last piece might just be a view thing. So I'm unlikely that I think we'll do a full session trying to figure out what that is. I'll probably just try to figure out what the problem is there and then just commit the code so everyone can see it once it's properly looping. But as far as seeing the functionality and how you would get an image and render it, it all works now. So as far as that goes, that is a success. Well, with that, I think that's a wrap for today. So thanks everyone for hanging out today. 503, appreciate you for providing the support and asking questions. It's been great. In the meantime, all the resources that we talked about today will be included in the show notes below. And so if you ever have any questions or comments, as always, please leave a comment below. But otherwise, if you want to join on the live stream or see when I'll be talking again, we'll go ahead and check out the schedule at bencodezen.io/schedule. And with that, yeah, I guess we'll see. Again, I'll get everything pushed up for view once I figure out why the async stuff is functioning. But otherwise, yeah, View Gilmore, Fahad, thanks so much for hanging out. But it's been a lot of fun, and I will talk to you all later. Bye-bye.